from Texas, Dean Renfro has a message for us about life and leadership and everything that he's been learning. And so I want to invite you here. And then our next speaker is David McGlennen. So sit tight, get your journals out. We are super excited, you guys. I hope you're excited. Show me in the chat. Are you excited? Are you having fun? Are you learning anything? Because I know that you are. I know that you are. Write your notes in your journals and let's get started. Joe, take it away with a message from Dean.
Hey, Joe. Hey, Melanie. I appreciate the opportunity to be here on the Heart of Leadership Summit. To tell your viewers a little bit about myself, my name is Dean Renfro. I am the Chief Marketing Officer of my company called Your Marketing Doctor, where we help small businesses and entrepreneurs market themselves online so they can grow their business, make better profit, and change their world. That's important. And I'm also the anchor and host of a podcast called The Morning Wake Up Call, where we hope to inspire, inform, and give insight to people so that they can grow themselves and in turn grow their business or organization so again, they can go change their world. I think that's an important factor. You know, when I think about the heart of leadership, two words come to mind for me. One of those words is passion. I think leadership is a thing about passion. It's driven by passion. It has to be in a person to move forward. And whether it's you leading yourself or you leading an entire country or the world, it takes a passion to do that. And I think that's what pushes leaders forward. And then I think the second thing is gratitude. You know, the ability to be thankful for the opportunity. You know, the Book of Wisdom says that for us to be a great leader, we have to be a servant. And to be a servant, you really have to have a spirit of gratitude. I'm thankful for the opportunity. Thankful for my giftedness. Thankful for the people that have the opportunity to serve and to lead. Have the opportunity, thankful for the opportunity to go impact the world. And so when I think about the heart of leadership, those are the words that come to mind for me. Our goal in what I do in both marketing and in the podcast is to really equip people to make a difference in their world. So hey, I look forward to being a VIP Summit Room. I just introduced myself. Hey, I'm looking for you to be here with us in the VIP room where we're going to talk about how do you use online marketing and the voice of a podcast to go change your world. So we look forward to doing that right here on the Heart of Leadership Virtual Summit.
Our next everyday leader making impact in the world is David McGlennen. David is a business growth guide who helps leaders learn to play the infinite game of business. He's coached and trained leaders around the world, as far as the Arctic Circle, and has shared the stage with John C. Maxwell while training leaders in Paraguay, South America. David's been married to his wife Cindy for 32 years and is the father of 5 children living in the Pittsburgh region. Let's welcome my heart-centered friend and everyday leader, David McGlennen. Yay! I have these heart balloons just for you, David. I am so excited that you're here with us. I know we have done so many things together over the last several years, and part of that is being a part of the John Maxwell team. You're the first speaker. Dean Renfro is also a part of the John Maxwell team, and I just want to give a shout out because people that have not experienced a tribe like this, it's a community, it's a culture of people that believe what we believe. It's what our heart, really oozes out to. And so we are about servant leadership. You, David, represent so much about developing leaders, impacting leaders in teams and corporations. And so as my friend, as just someone my heart always goes out to. And here's a little secret, you guys. David has COVID. So he's still joining us, right? That's what servant leaders do. And so, David, thank you for joining us today. I am really excited for you to share about impacting and developing leaders and your attitude around this. So thank you. Oh, I can't hear you. Joe? Yep. Oh, we're going back and forth here. It'll be just a second. Yes. So David is, like we said in the introduction, in the Pittsburgh area. He has a big event that we're going to talk to you about coming up too. It's for the Inner Circle leaders and that he has going on. And it's on December the 10th. So stick with us here during the interview and we're going to tell you a lot more about that. I see Joe working on the background here. I think we're going back from audio 1 and 2 for video versus versus our live. So here we are, though. David has been developing leaders for many, many years. And part of this is once you get into the groove, once you know exactly who you're serving, then you're able to clarify the next step on how you do that. And so as we're getting his audio here, I wanted to share with that with you, because when you start something, as John Maxwell says, and I have this in the journal, right? One of the things that he told me when we went through the certification training is you don't have to be great to start. You don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. And so the takeaway for me always is finding and connecting to leaders that also believe that, because we grow together, right? We grow together. David, how's your audio now? Can we? Oh, Joe. Testing.
We're working on it at a
Yeah.
control.
My producer in the background. But here's the thing, right? So if you go to your journal, if you have your journal, we are asking you to be challenged with some curiosity questions, right? And so also, Anza, if you can post the challenge for David McGlennen. So these are the things we're going to be addressing here, which is thinking about the spark in your heart today, the spark in your heart. And we want to make sure that we understand, like, what is driving you, that inspiration. If you're in a company, if you're, with your family, if you've suffered through COVID, we want to really understand, how can we serve you in a bigger capacity? And then we're really going to talk about, David really is. But I love this challenge, because if you've been in my class, we do this exercise. You write your own obituary. It's one of the most powerful things that you can do, is to think about what is it that you are leaving that is significant in your life. What is that? And it's critical, because if you don't understand your purpose, your why, like Gary said, then it's going to be difficult for you to understand how to be intentional every single day. So that's one of the poll questions too, right? Thinking about that. And so where is the key concept where you want to make a bigger impact? So how's our audio?
We're working on it.
Okay.
Trying to chase it down here.
I know. Here we go. So here's the thing, right? So thinking about these concepts, what is it? So put in the chat here, what is it, the one thing that you're going to do to spark your heart today? What is the one thing that you've been thinking about? And we've got 4 different areas that you can reflect on. So the reflect on inspiration, taking action. Are you one that's just sitting there waiting to take action, and you're just kind of saying, I'm getting ready to get ready, as John Maxwell always says? I love that quote, because it makes me think, I've worked with a lot of people lately that have said, put 2 things on a piece of paper, one on the left side and one on the right side. And you've got one decision right now, right? So choose left or right, just do it. And the other one goes in the trash. But you have to do one thing right now, take action on it. And it helps when you have somebody to push you to that limit, because you think things through way too much sometimes, and then you're way behind. So, Gary said it, Jeff has said it, Jen has said it, everybody has said it. Take action right now. Accountability partners. Got to get an accountability partner. David is one of my accountability partners. Kim Hambrick on here is an accountability partner. Deb Halberg, she's one of my accountability partners. Kelly Ekwurzel, like, I have so many people that keep me in check for so many things. so I want to encourage you, if that's something that you need help with, and then just creating consistency and staying committed. And this is something that you have to learn how to grow through. And until you start it, you can't get clear on how that'll look, right? So I'm going to share this with you right now, because our audio we're working on it. I started a challenge from John Maxwell in 2019. So if you haven't heard this story, listen in, right? Get your journal out here. John challenged me to read the book of Proverbs for 31 days, because he said it would give me wisdom. It would help me get clear on things that I may need help with in my life. So So in 2019, I just kind of put it out there, right? Social media, right before COVID. If anybody would like to join me on October the 1st, I'm going to start this Bible study. And John has a devotional. He has a John Maxwell Leadership Bible. So I don't know, there were several of us that we said, let's do this for 31 days. Could we possibly do something for 31 days? Could we? And we did. And we studied together and we worshiped together. We bonded as a group together for 31 days. Well, after that, how's our audio, Joe? David?
I'm not sure where the problem is, but we're continuing to work on it here.
Okay. So here's the pinnacle of the story, right? So we kept going after 31 days. After 31 days, we said we should keep going, and we'll do Corinthians, and maybe we should do Luke for Christmas, right? So here it is, the end of the year, and we kept going, and we said, oh, January's here, February, March, the pandemic struck, and we were still doing this morning devotional. Today is 796 days that we have actually continued this. So why I say that is because when we get David's audio on here, we're going to talk about consistency and what that actually does to change you when you start developing a process for impact. And so what I know is from my own experience is it changes you. It's not just about, did you get up and breathe and brush your teeth every day? But did you do something different? And how do you see yourself in the world differently? Right. So that's what this is really about. It's learning all of these leaders, their hearts for this impact that they are making in their inner circle. And how's our audio now? No? Can we? I don't know what it is. Do you want to have David sign out and sign back in? Yeah, I think that's okay. Can you hear me, David? If you want to sign back out on the link and sign and jump back in. Can he hear me? Yes. Yes. I don't see that. So here's the deal, right? So we're live. This is exciting because we are just going with our speakers. So, but what David brings to us is all of the leadership. So if you're in the Pittsburgh area, his event is December the 10th, and he is going to talk to us about it here in just a second. But here's the deal, right? So we are doing a virtual summit with him, and he's doing a live. So if you're watching this, if you're in the Pittsburgh area and you raise your hand, right? So tell me you're in the Pittsburgh area if you're watching this on Zoom. If you are available on December the 10th, right? So I want to know if you're available on December the 10th. If you would have the capacity, David has some seats left. I want to gift 2 seats to this event. So if it's live or if it's virtual, raise your hand if you would like to attend that. And we're going to have a drawing here a little bit later to be able to gift this to you, to have another impactful inner circle developing leader event. And this is it's something that Jeff and I spoke at. We met here, was the first time that we met. And it really does impact if you're in businesses and you're trying to develop your teams and your inner circles. And as David is coming back in here, we're just going to give it a couple of more seconds. I do want to guide you to the workbook. So if you have downloaded the workbook, this is 50 pages, you guys. This is awesome for your growth. Every single speaker has a worksheet in here. And on David's, if you go right to David's, it's talking about curiosity, thinking into, as we're getting him online here, the significance that you want to create in your life. How do you define significance? And then the consistency, right? We talked about that a little bit with what I was challenged to do with my mentor. What do you want people to say about you? But how are you being consistent, right? What you think you are doing versus what you were actually giving to the world. And so, David, how's our audio now? David, can you hear me? Let me see in the back room here. I think I
Looks
can.
like we have David.
Yes, I think I can hear.
Let me see if I can put him into the shot here for
I
us.
think I can hear him. Yes. Isn't this fun? Don't you love live? Remember those old commercials? Is it live or is it Memorex? Well, this is live today. So, yes, David, can you hear me?
We can hear Dave.
David, can you hear me?
Let's try it again here. Dave?
Now I hear you.
Okay.
Yes, fantastic. Fantastic. Okay, so I've given you the warm up.
Perseverance, right? Perseverance,
right.
as Gary was talking about.
That's exactly right. And that's the thing, right? When you show up with perseverance and you have this heart, you have COVID right now. You texted me last night and said, oh my gosh, I've been diagnosed with COVID. And I was like, oh, what does that look like? But thank you for just like taking one for the team. And if people could see behind you, it says play like a champion, right? Are you
right
right
over
there?
to my left? Yeah.
Yes. So David is originally from Indiana. There's so many things that we share. So lots of Hoosiers on this call today. Gary Brackett. We haven't heard from any other Hoosier besides you and me today. Yet here we go. So thank you for hanging in there with us, guys. This is live, and David McGlennen is the leader of developing impactful leaders. And so, David, just, your journey to start from where you were doing your life, running, your insurance agency with your dad, and then deciding that developing leaders was something that you were really gifted in and that you could take this to the next level to add value to people. We're going to talk about peer coaching, transitional, leadership next after you here with Ryan. And so help people understand that are really struggling with, hey, I just think I need a little bit of practice so that I can believe in myself, because I would love to be able to raise up right now, transform the workforce. And so many things are happening. We've got a lot of gaps out there, and you focus on this. So help us really take us through what you're learning about what you're doing.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think that there's an idea that we all have, and a lot of us have bought into a myth that we have to be perfect. We've got to jump in and be perfect. And the reality is that we got to jump in and screw up. And, I've done a lot of that. So one of the things that I'm doing right now is a project with Kimberly, who is here on the call today, is we work with what I call emerging leaders, and they're leaders who are generally first-time people leaders. And one of the things that we have found that these leaders need is really just a safe space to be able to practice, to get some confidence, to learn some communication. Most of them are terrified of speaking, and the good thing that we do is we throw them into the deep end of the water. We create the safe space for them to talk extemporaneously. I mean, it's one thing to be able to talk and plan and prepare a talk or a speech. And it's another thing just to go right off the top of your head, like I'm doing today. But new leaders often don't know how to do that. And so one of the things that I did early in my career is I joined Toastmasters. And I can tell you, for me, it was one of the things that helped me immensely to not only learn how to speak, but also to have confidence to be in front of people. I mean, I literally was able to get up on stage in South America, in Paraguay, with no script. And the stage person, as before I was getting up, kept telling me, "Oh, you got like 4 minutes. You can talk for 4 minutes." And then as people went along, by the time I was ready to jump up on stage, they said, "Hey, you got 1 minute." And so you got to learn how to be flexible. And so that's one of the things that I think through my career, I've learned how to be. I was not there earlier in my career. I was very rigid. I was very focused and very goal driven and very achievement oriented. And that's one of the things that I've learned over the course of 30 something years in business and leadership. And I think that that's something that has helped me to focus on developing leaders right now is because I think that there is such a need. We live in such a chaotic world that we have to be able to learn to adapt and adjust and be resilient. And so, that's really, I think, something that's really super important and what drives me today.
Well, you mentioned something that, a lot of people that I've talked to recently have talked about this. Even when I'm mentoring one-on-one with some of the women through Pass the Torch for Women, I want to give a shout out to them because it transforms you when you start to mentor people differently than working with them as a peer. And Meredith will talk about peer coaching. And so, but here's the thing, right? Putting your ego aside as a new leader to think, yeah, I can see it, right? We've all been there. I can see what I can accomplish because gosh, I feel it inside. I could do their job. I should have that glass ceiling. I should have that window office, right? I can tell people what to do. They listen to me. Yet when you don't have the process in place to learn and have the experience first, that's where we have to really reflect and say, am I ready for that? And so equipping people to be ready when the opportunity is there, man, what does John say? Like we have to grow into it, right? We have to grow into the position and then it happens. And so sometimes, we just have to leave that at the door. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I see that what you do and what Ryan's going to talk to us about next, I know is how do you leave that ego? How do you help people realize that's kind of like practicing that? Because I know it changed you.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And, I think that sometimes just by virtue of getting thrown into the deep end of the water, you have to learn to swim. When I was 40 years old, my dad passed away, and it was the most traumatic part of my life because he and I were partners, and we were business partners. Not only was he my dad, he was, one of my best friends as well. And I got thrown into the water for most of my career. I was like the number two guy. I did all the stuff in the background. I did the administration, and I did a lot of the work for our office. And he was our leader. And when he passed away, I needed to learn to lead. And while he had a heart for that, he never really had a process in place to, what I'll say, groom me, to be able to help me to be in that space. So all of a sudden, I was in the deep end of the water. I needed to, I needed to find a job because at the time, there were some things happening with our business that our business basically imploded. And when he passed away, I had to take that number one seat, and I wasn't ready for it. But I was in the deep end of the water, and I was learning how to swim because if not, I was going to drown, and I knew I didn't want to drown. So I think that that's one of the things that I feel like has helped me to have a heart for these leaders, these emerging leaders who really need a safe space, but they also need to get shoved into the deep end of the water as well, because sometimes we just need to learn how to swim. And we can't do that if we're, holding on, or if we've got life, little swimmies on, we can't learn how to swim. And so I think that has been really the motivation for me to work with these emerging leaders. And really what I think happens then too is when these emerging leaders are able to lead and to be confident in their voice and speak with authority, then they can help the organization move forward faster towards their goal, towards their mission, and actually create a culture that the leadership wants as well.
And that is so important, because seeing what is needed, right? Instead of trying to come and say, well, I can do this. And I think Jeff talked about this, like you say, well, I can do everything on that resume, instead of just showing up to serve and figuring out, like, you could almost, and I hope Ryan talks about this a little, I'm sure he will too, but it's, you guys are all consistent in your messaging of, if you really show up to serve, it may look different than what you had ever imagined.
That's right. Yeah.
You may learn something that you never thought you could learn. You may meet people that you never thought you could meet.
Right.
You may be influenced and inspired to do things that you never thought possible. all
Right.
because you gave up the ego.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Gosh, David, okay. I'm getting messages from Anza here. So, yeah, David, okay. So where did you grow up? You grew up in Indiana.
Oh, yeah, I did. Yeah. I grew up in Fort Wayne. So I grew up in Fort Wayne, Indiana. So I was in northeastern Indiana, and I grew up as a Notre Dame fan. So yeah, born and raised, but I live in the Pittsburgh region now.
Yes, Pittsburgh. And so here's the thing, when I was telling you before we could get his audio working, Pittsburgh, if you're in the Pittsburgh area, I want you to put a 1 in the chat right now. If you're in the Pittsburgh area, put a 1 in the chat. We are going to have a drawing for 2 tickets. So if you are available and you want to go to the December 10th live event with David McGlennen for Impacting Leaders, 2 tickets, right? So put a 1 in the chat if you're in the Pittsburgh area, you want to go, and put a 2 in the chat if you want to go, but you want to do it virtually, right? So I'm going to give away 2 tickets. I think this is so important, you guys, because what David is doing is really creating cultures in the area and all over the world, yet he lives in Pittsburgh. So the live event is in Pittsburgh, but you can join live or virtual. So a 1 in the chat if you live in Pittsburgh and you want to join live, a 2 if you'd like to join virtually, and we are going to have a drawing for that. So stay tuned. If you're in the VIP room, you'll get more information on some of the programs too that David does and is involved in, because I think it is just critical that we develop leaders from where we are right now. It is changing. We look at it in every single industry, David. Have you seen influence in one particular industry that you feel like this is the most important that you're focusing on, that you get the most kind of calls about, or that you're working with the most right now during COVID, or is it across the board?
Not really. Yeah, not really. It's across the board. I mean, honestly, there's chaos and there's uncertainty in so many areas. I mean, there's uncertainty, especially in just holding on to people, and not only holding on to people, but helping them to thrive in the organization. Because I think that for so long, so many organizations haven't invested in their people and really helped them to feel like they were valued. Mm-hmm. And so what we're seeing now is by virtue of these companies who are part of the inner circles, investing in their people are feeling like, hey, my company actually cares about me. They actually are creating this environment, giving us this space to be able to talk with other leaders from quite literally around the world. I mean, in our virtual environment, we've got leaders from Germany. We've got leaders from here in the U.S. We've got leaders from all over. And that's the cool thing about this virtual environment that we're living in. But what we're seeing is there's not really any one industry, because I think that leadership is leadership across any industry. And we really need to help people feel like they're valued and that we're investing in them and helping them to grow, helping them to get just outside of their comfort zone so that they can feel like they're expanding and growing. And when we do that as organizations, then that's when it's going to be much easier to retain our talent, and it's going to be much easier to attract great talent as well.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Okay, so I'm just getting chats here, so I picked up my phone real quick. This is awesome. People in the Zoom room. So you guys, thank you so much. And David, here we go, because we're actually in a broadcast system, and David can't see the Zoom right now.
I can't see anything.
So here we go. This one, this is from Cedra. She says to me, or I'm sorry, I'm not sure. Here we go. SIDRA. There we go. To me, leadership is also about going for the risk you are afraid to go for. Most of the times, things are not difficult or hard to understand as they seem to be, as we've perceived them to be, getting out from our comfort zones and really need to learn how to go for the things we never had gone for before.
So true.
Gosh, thank you for sharing that. And let's see, we have more here. I'm very interested in learning about this space, and they're in South Africa, David. So
very nice. Very nice.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
We have just got so many. Yes, we're also going to grow from many new perspectives. Yes, this is absolutely powerful for people. And wow.
I want to jump on that first comment, because Sometimes we know what we need to do, and it is just outside of our comfort zone. And there, a lot of times we're afraid to do it on our own. And that's the beauty of, and that's why we created this inner circle, because we need people. We need to have a group of people around us that help us to be able to go and cheer us on and say, yeah, take that step, jump outside of your comfort zone. I remember it was almost 6.5 years ago right now when I started my company. I was doing very well. I was in a startup company that I had helped start up. We were super successful. I knew though that I needed to start my own company. And believe me, there was a pit in my stomach when I crafted the email to our CEO, and I needed really, some cheering on to be able to push send. And so I think oftentimes we need other people to help us to just cheer us on to take that step and to get outside of our comfort zone.
Yep, absolutely. And sometimes it's just right around the corner. It's just who can be that person next, right? And sometimes you don't know. You have to be vulnerable. And that's the key. And I think sometimes people just really forget that that vulnerability. Just put yourself in a position, let that ego go, and get the help that maybe just the thing, right? The one step that you need next. And then it gets really clear for everything else. So
exactly.
Just phenomenal, David. Lots of other, yes, you're going to learn, believe in your capabilities, your potential, and your vision. And yes, absolutely. So you guys, this has been phenomenal. David, we appreciate you so much. And I'm excited for your event on the 10th. So if you are in Pittsburgh and you want to be in the drawing to have a seat in the room, put 1. If you want a virtual seat, put number 2, and we will have a drawing. And we are super excited to share this and lift David. He is an everyday leader that is absolutely making impact around the world. And we just love you. We share your heart. And so if you're in the VIP book, also you can get David's free book. He's got a download there. So David, just thank you for being you. Thank you,
Melanie. Thank you for putting something like this on. I mean, it's a great, it's a great thing. It's a great summit. It's a great, I love that you just jumped in and did it. I mean, that's so fantastic.
I was challenged.
Love it. You had some people around you that pushed you in, huh?
Yes, I tell you, when I say, if you make something an idea, if you take action on putting something on the left and something on the right, write down a white sheet of paper, and you just tear that piece of paper. I don't care how you do it. Make a decision today to do that action step. I said December the 5th. And I'll tell you this real quick, because you and I share a friend of Dan Dominguez from the Y Institute.
Yes, absolutely.
1 year ago today is the day that I hosted my event with Dan to share that I was kind of stepping into learning about the Y Institute. So what is so fabulous about this is it's our journey, right? If you look back and reflect, just like what you talked about, you can really put things into perspective in your own life. And so it is absolutely incredible, the things that we're doing. I love you. I know we're a little bit behind. So we're going to go to our segment. Let me check my docket here. We hear from Michael LeBlanc next on his little encouragement to do things differently. And so Anza, if you will post in the chat for me all of David's questions. And David, thank you so much. Good luck with your event. Again, 1, if you're in Pittsburgh, 2, if you want a virtual seat, and we'll do a drawing for this and we will get with you. Get in the VIP room, download David's free ebook, and be a leader. David, thank you so much for being a leader in life.
Thank you, Melanie. Great to be here. Thanks so much.
Thank you.